Hey everybody, I'm Jen and I did not finish writing this introduction. Quick reminder here at the top that this is an inclusive space where Black Lives Matter and we are anti-Asian hate. That means that you are safe here in the video with me and in the comments below where no hate speech of any kind will be tolerated. Today's video is actually in conjunction with Dewey's Readathon. For those of you unfamiliar with the Readathon, it is a 24-hour reading marathon event hosted once a year by two lovely people named Kate and Gabby. Thank you guys for welcoming me onto your site. Today I am talking about something called D.N.F. For those of you unfamiliar, here on my YouTube channel, I do something called Advice Jen Can Dish Out But She Can't Take. And today's video is a big fat edition of AJCDOBSCT. Yes, we're going to call it that for short. Never. We're never going to call it that. But I am here to let you know that it is okay to quit. Sometimes. And especially when you're reading a book. So DNF is shorthand for do not finish or did not finish. And depending on who you ask, some readers consider it a cardinal sin. Some people will argue that you can't really offer an opinion on a book or even say that you've read it at all if you didn't finish it. But I'm here to argue that those people are wrong, and actually Kim Kelly from Freaks and Geeks had it right all along. To sum it all up, one student in the class, played by Busy Phillips, argues that On the Road is actually kind of a shitty book, and that she couldn't even finish reading it because it didn't hold her attention and she didn't really understand the point of it. So anyway, all of this is to say, A, go watch Freaks and Geeks, and B, there are plenty of reasons to not want to finish a book. Even a classic like On the Road. It does not matter. If you're reading something and you're not vibing with it, just stop reading it. You've probably gotten enough of the picture, and even if you haven't, it doesn't matter. You may come back later if you want to, or you can just call that one complete and move along. We live in super wild times where everyone is in contact with each other through screens, right? And we're always thinking about productivity and comparing ourselves to one another based on what we see of each other online. Very often, especially these days, our hobbies can become our hustle, and even if that doesn't apply to you, you might still take your reading goals pretty seriously. If your reading has become part of a job, or if it's something that you're doing for school, then yeah, sure, your TBR might be a little more binding. But there are no reasons to keep up with anyone else's reading schedule. Not to mention that if you're comparing your reading style, your reading time, whatever, to what you see online, it's pretty easy to forget that what we post online is what we want to share. It's an idealized version. We may not explain to people like, hey, I read the first chapter of this book, didn't really like it. It may just not make it to the gram. So your reading goals should be realistically suited to your lifestyle and also how you like to read. I could probably read more if I wanted to, but I'm not a very fast reader, and if I do read quickly, I tend to miss things. So I try to set my goals low and stick to that. When you're setting your own goals, you should think about realistically what kind of time do you have to make reading part of your day. If you're really into audiobooks and you want to listen to them on your commute, that's awesome. But a lot of us are working from home right now, and so we can't. But I do listen to audiobooks like when I'm cooking and when I'm like walking to the library and things like that, which cuts down on the amount of time, but it still leaves it as an option. You should also think about books that you realistically have access to. And please, 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 please don't pirate your books. If you can't go to the store and buy them for any reason at all, then get in contact with your local library. If they don't already have a copy of a book that you're looking to read, you can usually request that they get one, and then they'll put you on a wait list when they do finally get it in stock. Don't forget that libraries also have a lot of options for e-reading and audiobooks as well, and sometimes you don't have to go to the physical location. All you need is a library card or username, and bam, access. The next thing I'm going to talk about is something called the sunk cost fallacy. If you're unfamiliar with that idea, it is the idea that we have started doing something, and it could be anything, but whatever it is, once we've invested time, effort, or money into making that thing part of our lives, we don't want to give up on it. With books, there could be any number of reasons that we want to hang on or make it through to the end. A lot of people are recommending it to us. It could be one of our friends' favorite books or a bestseller. It could be that we know there's a certain scene we want to get to, or it could just be something that we pre-ordered and don't want to admit we didn't like it. And there are just as many reasons that that book may turn out to be a bad match. Maybe the plot doesn't grab us, or there's too many words we don't understand. There's a character that reminds us of someone we don't like, or there could be something triggering in the book that really turns us off from wanting to go any further. I am here to cut you loose, clear your conscience, and let you know that the sunk cost fallacy is a fallacy for a reason. If you spent time reading a book, it is not wasted time. You've done that reading. You gave the book a shot, and you know for sure that it's not for you. It's likely that if you're reading something and you're not enjoying yourself, you're dragging your feet finishing that book. It does not matter how far into a book or series you get before you decide that you don't want to finish the thing. I read, I think, most of the first 50 Shades book before literally chucking it across the room, Googling the rest of the plot of the series, and then donating it because no, I was not going to finish reading that series at all. With the Hunger Games, I got about part of the way through and just couldn't make it through because Katniss's younger sister was like around the same age as my youngest sister at the time. So it just made me uncomfy. I wanted to finish it, so I listened to the audiobook versions, and that was fine. I'm glad I did it, I guess. And finally, I simply rage quit at the beginning of Kingdom Keepers. I think I got about halfway through the first book, and it was just so much fat phobia and like weird racial caricatures, and I had to just stop. All of this is to say that even though I'm not very good at taking this advice, I have done it before, and nothing bad happened. I just stopped reading something. In conclusion, you don't have to finish anything that you're reading. It doesn't matter. You don't have to. You don't have to. If you do have to finish reading something for either a review or school, here's a few quick tips for what to do. So I was an English major in undergrad, and I took a Shakespeare class, and I'm horrible at reading a play, like specifically Shakespeare. Horrible. So I went to the library and I looked up what kind of recordings we had of productions of those plays. And I read along as I was watching so that I made sure to catch all of the text while I was actually watching the things unfold. And that really helped me to get through these plays and actually understand what was going on. If there is an adaptation of something that you want to watch instead of reading, fine, but you have to make sure that you know the differences between the two. That's where SparkNotes can come in handy, or talking to some people that have already read it and asking them about it. It takes a little more effort than just reading the book, but you may find that you actually get more out of that experience than just plodding through something that you can't seem to keep in your brain. If it's something that you're reviewing, you probably should read the original text and maybe take notes instead of just letting it pass over your brain. Again, kind of confirming what you've read with a SparkNotes or a Wikipedia page might help you remember what you read. And also, if you're going to review something, you should have a pretty good grasp on why you did or didn't like it. So taking notes as you're reading is a really good idea anyway. And finally, audiobooks and ebooks is still reading. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Like, you're still consuming that book in a way that works for you. And you're still consuming exactly the same text, just in a different way. We read books to kids all the time, and that doesn't mean that they haven't read that book. It just means that they read it in a different way. And maybe you do too. I hope that this video has encouraged you to move along with your TBR if there's something that you are not down with and you are ready to read something else. I hope that you have a wonderful time taking part in Dewey's Readathon, and I hope you know that if you're really tired and want to take a break, that's okay too. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and click the like button down below, and if you're brand new here from the Readathon, welcome! I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button right over there. We do videos on writerly stuff and readerly stuff and things that I find interesting and social justice about every 2 weeks. Also, if you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the bell wherever it is and then you will get notified every time there is new content on the channel. You can find all of my social media and email address and all that kind of stuff down in the description below. Thanks again, and as always, stay safe and stay healthy.
Are you always this articulate?
Hercules, my